because he disproves every response that he receives from NASA is like false, and he shows you the false in those statements. So it's pretty incredible.
And it's very logical if you know anything about basic science and have any understanding. And they just don't want us to know, and that's the bottom line, because there's so much of it out there. It's going to come forward sooner or later, and you know, we have in our own self, like I said, we have to take our own power, and as long as we're aware of what's going on, we're not closed-minded to any of these possibilities. We will be prepared when they come down. It's a much higher intelligent life force that we're going to be open to, and we'll probably learn a lot more, and that's going to help our evolution. I really believe these beings are benevolent beings that want to help us and grow us into the stage of evolution that we're ready for right now, with according to the Mayan calendar and according to everything. It all seems like it's in synchronicity with each other. And then you were watching a thing with David Greer where, and this is what we do. Justin and I love to meditate. Justin is a master since he's been a child. I know him personally, he's my nephew, so I know from a young child he's been studying all the martial arts and trying to reach higher levels of consciousness. When all the kids are out playing games and stuff, Justin was real serious about getting into his chakras and meditating and trying to understand the meaning of life. I happened to come upon it myself as I got older, studying with a guru, and these beings connect with you when you're meditating or in high dream states, because they are recognizing that you can accept the information that they're about to give, and they're looking to use us to help them grow our consciousness, and that's how it works. And Justin, you can explain how you were summoning the UFO while you were in Costa Rica, which were near a lot of volcanoes, but I think you just had that mental ability to open up to the other species out there, the other forms of
life. Yeah, and I love the way Dr. Stephen Greer puts it. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer, he's the one who's created the Disclosure Project, which is, I think, in the history books, because there's never been so many top secret government officials, people from the military, from their own, from there, actually, admitting and coming forward to this stuff. And, hundreds and hundreds of officials share their stories and willing to testify in front of a judge or whatever. But we know they're, hiding this information, and their reason for that is what they say, what they explained in the beginning of that video that you just watched. But the reality of it is they don't want the mass people having this knowledge. And we're in the United States, but if you go outside the United States, I mean, it's common knowledge. They report on it all the time on the news, and they share, the truth. What I see on the United States news when I do John or watch it on YouTube, I notice there's always a debunker getting paid to be there to debunk UFOs and make the people look out to be stupid. Every single time.
Sort of crackpots.
Yeah, so that's what you're getting here. They're obviously hiding the truth from us. But beyond that, I love what Dr. Stephen Greer is doing, because he's actually contacting them and what he calls being an ambassador between Earth and these species from another planet, these extraterrestrial life forms, because these extraterrestrial life forms are of a higher consciousness. And they don't want nothing to do with, fear-based people, because they say it stinks. They could smell it a mile away. They could just smell fear consciousness, fear-based consciousness, and that's not what they're looking for. I mean, the government treats them terrible. They shoot them out of the sky. Hence why you got Roswell and alien craft actually crashing. Their technology is so advanced, they're not going to crash, but they actually get shot out of the sky. The government has these energy fields that they created to do this sort of stuff, and they're working trades with certain species of intelligence out there, and all sorts of corrupt, evil stuff. So here's the deal. There's a lot of good life forms out there in ETs, and if you could raise your consciousness, and you could do this through meditation, focusing upon your breath, focusing upon your chakras, open your chakras to this higher state, this higher form, which is basically the energy of love. It's the opposite of fear. They're going to be more welcome to communicate through you, and in experiences, you communicate
Right.
with the ETs through your dream states.
Right, and my first experience, I had a very powerful experience with the guru back in the 80s, and I just didn't understand why and they were trying to, trying to help shift the consciousness of the planet to love, and that somehow I would play a part of it in the future. I didn't understand it at the time. It was definitely a dream state, but they said they could connect with me because I opened up my consciousness, and they do it telepathically. And since then, I've had quite a few of those kinds of dreams, sort of like directing me and guiding me into what the future may bring. If I was more of an expert at it, I probably could do it on a regular basis. I think that's why I'd like to study how Stephen Greer is doing it, because mine, they told me recently that I still have a lot of fear to deal with as far as them coming in the present. So we shall see. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. Easier said than done. Have a Christian-based background, so a lot of these underlying fears come up unconsciously, subconsciously, and you just have to, like I explained in the past about consciousness, these things as you open up your consciousness, these they call them shadows or dark spots in you, start to rise in you, and it's from the collective consciousness from many lifetimes ago on the cellular level, and it rises. And it tries to keep you down in fear. And sometimes you don't even know what you're afraid of. It's just something that there's a block and you have to move through it. And I believe, that's why these ETs are so advanced. They know when you're ready, and then they're ready to give you further instruction when your consciousness does open up. But it's nice to know that they're here and they're watching us from outer space. Another thing that we found out is there was part of this thing. There was these water balls. They're about 40 feet long that have, go around our atmosphere about 25,000 kilometers around the atmosphere of the Earth. And NASA was saying they were comets. So David went and investigated that as well, and he found out that they can't be comets. They can't be water balls. It looks like an intelligent species is trying to repair our ozone layer by giving as many as 10 to 20,000 of these water balls, that's what they're called, water balls, are hitting our atmosphere every year. And they're actually repairing our atmosphere. So that's a whole other interesting thing that David had touched upon, didn't get very much in detail, and then trying to bring it back to an ancient race where there were artifacts of people who were half man and half fish, which we go back to the doggone race in Africa, and they're waiting for these beings to come back, and they were water-based beings that they claimed their planet was mostly water, and it stems from Isis and Osiris. Supposedly were
the Egyptian gods.
Yeah,
right?
were the Egyptian gods, and they were from